Hello everyone, I'm Ronaldo Mehta and welcome back to marketing91.com. We provide management and marketing training to students and professionals worldwide through our courses, videos and community. This video is part of our comprehensive take on the gamut of human resource management. Let's take a stab at the gamut of demotion. An employee is demoted when they switch to a position with less salary, authority or prestige. Since being demoted suggests that one lacks in performing at a higher rank, the majority of people view it as a punishment. On the other hand, promotion refers to an increase in authority or status. Moving on. Rarely do demotions result in favorable consequences for the person. Reasons for a person to be demoted are majorly linked to the individual's lack of performance in the job, dearth of discipline, or incompetence or unsuitable conduct, or extreme absenteeism. Drop in the capacity of labor force, modifications in technology, conditions in the market, changes in production process, and adjustments to the product mix are all organizational reasons that might result in demotion of the employee. Let's look at some examples, starting with the case study of Cristiano Ronaldo at the FIFA World Cup. The victory of Portugal without their experienced lucky charm, Ronaldo, according to Ian Wright of ITV, proves that the country can succeed without him. Before Portugal's World Cup opener against Switzerland, Cristiano Ronaldo's move to the bench dominated the program news. Although later, Ramos, who scored 3 goals, was the player who received the most attention when Santos' team trashed their opponent 6-1. Well, this was a classic case of a performing employee who was demoted on the world stage of football. Moving on to the next. Huawei demotes 2 employees over use of iPhone. Use of an iPhone to post a New Year's tweet, Huawei demotes 2 employees. An internal statement from the Chinese telecom giant Huawei revealed that 2 employees had been demoted for using an Apple iPhone to tweet a New Year's greeting on the organizational official Twitter account, as you can see on the picture on your right. Moving on. Before Huawei erased the original message and resent one that was labeled sent via Twitter Media Studio, video producer Marcus Brownlee uploaded a snapshot of the post for his 3 million followers on Twitter to see. Well, according to a message viewed by AFP and extensively circulated on China's Weibo, a platform resembling Twitter, one anonymous employee and the director of digital marketing of Huawei were demoted. They also had their salaries reduced by about $730 on a monthly basis. The digital marketing director received a freeze on salary and a 12-month ban on promotions in addition to the pay reduction. Despite the fact that Sapient, the third-party social media company, committed the error, the 2 were punished because the event had a negative impact, and because of the mistake, the Huawei brand had to suffer. The reason cited was procedural incompliance and management oversight, according to the memo. Moving on to the introduction of demotion. Demotion is just the opposite of promotion, as we understand. Reducing an employee's post, duties or salary is generally referred to as demotion. Demotion is typically employed as a corrective action and as a first step before the dismissal of duties permanently. Demotion's effectiveness as a disciplinary measure is an arguable method for a variety of reasons. Demotion is generally viewed as a long-term embarrassment and it also leads to loss of pay. More importantly, an employee demoted from his job will always be unhappy, and his or her unhappiness may rub off on other employees, harming the positivity, effectiveness and control of the workforce. They would be discontent and the overall atmosphere would not be great at work. Moving on to different forms of demotion. Well, first, voluntary demotion. If a regular staff member has already attained permanent status in the requested class, or the requested demotion is to a similar class within the identical job series. Next, and the most common one, is the involuntary demotion. Involuntary demotions are considered punitive actions such as governed by rules and regulations governing disciplinary actions. Moving on to demotions. Well, we take a staff from the advantage point of view for the employer. First, it helps in reducing the salary cost for the employer. Employee compensation reduction is another financial gain of demotion. A demotion typically entails a lower paying job for the person. The business may benefit greatly from this. Sometimes a worker is demoted because the employer feels it overpaid him or her for the output they gave. Next, reduced legal risk. Compared to termination or layoffs, employee demotion may be less likely to result in legal action or other complaints. The embarrassment for the employee would ultimately lead to the employee quitting their jobs, thus saving the company from any legal hassle which comes through the termination of the employee or a layoff. Next, keeping talented workers in the firm. Companies occasionally see faster growth than expected, which forces employees to take on positions they do not want or are not prepared to fill. If given the chance for more job training, an employee who has the potential to succeed in the firm may react to demotion more constructively. In the end, the employee can come to realization that they are well over their league and unsuited for their present role. Typically, it happens that employees need to spend some amount of years on a particular position before they advance. Now in this case, when they are advanced to a better position, even before they are prepared for it, it may backfire. Next, eliminating redundant departments and roles. When a department is transitioned out and fewer high-level employees are needed, a corporation will need to restructure its organizational structure and make demotions. As employees take on new tasks to steer the business onto a fresh path, transitions of this kind may present an opportunity for progress for everyone involved. Now, this is a situation clearly that's across startups all over the world which got funding a couple of years back and now are struggling to manage their revenues and cost. Now, let's look at the advantage for the employee. The only advantage that we understood was skill development for them. The growth of the individual through additional coaching and training is one of the most advantageous effects of employee demotion. Employees at times take on responsibilities for which they are not prepared. A demotion could stop burnout or job loss. In the case that an individual is demoted to a job in which they feel more at ease, they might strive towards obtaining extra training in order to ultimately advance to the post from which they were reduced to. And finally, to conclude, demotion might have the unintended consequence of making the employee less driven or worse, downright hostile towards who made the choice to demote them. That's typically the scenario everywhere. Demotions can occasionally be used as a nicer alternative to terminating a worker who is unable to perform his or her current duties. The choice is taken to keep the employee, albeit with a decreased degree of accountability as opposed to ending the work connection. There must be a clear written description of all rules and regulations, along with a warning that breaking them might result in a demotion. This becomes part of the HR policies that need to be brought forward in front of the employee when they join the organization. If they do not work well in line with the company's rules and regulations, they might be demoted in future. So that's it, folks. This brings an end to the gamut of demotion. These are the list of sources and links referred to for our content in the video. Thank you and stay tuned for more videos.